Welcome to Global Eye. I'm Parikshit Luhtra. The top story we are tracking today. Tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan continue to mount after Pakistani warplanes carried out aerial bombardment inside Afghanistan, reportedly killing 46 people, including women and children. Afghanistan's Taliban government described the incident as a blatant violation of all international principles and launched retaliatory attacks. Pakistan's strikes were deliberately aimed at Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan militants who plan to overthrow the Pakistani government and establish an Islamic state. A pro-Taliban media outlet said that the Afghanistan's strikes killed 19 Pakistani troops and 3 Afghan civilians. The question is, what does this conflict mean for the two nations and what impact will this have on India? We're joined by Ambassador Vivek Katju. Mr. Katju, give us a sense of how bad could things be for Pakistan this year as far as the conflict between the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and the Pakistani army goes right now?
Parikshit, you had asked me before there was a technical problem at my end about the cozy relationship between the Afghan Taliban and Pakistan. Now, let us recall that it has not always been a cozy relationship. Indeed, in the 1990s, when the Taliban were in power in Kabul, there was a very difficult and uneasy relationship between Kabul and Rawalpindi and Islamabad. Yes, after the Taliban were ejected in 2001 from Kabul, and the Pakistanis gave them sanctuaries, the Pakistanis used them as an instrument to pursue their interests in Afghanistan, they developed a close relationship. But again, here it was not an easy relationship, it was an uneasy one. So what we are witnessing now is a kind of a return to the traditional relationship which has always been there between Afghanistan and Pakistan. It is not something new. There was a period when the Taliban came back in power in Afghanistan in 2021 that the Pakistanis thought that the Taliban would be extremely grateful to them for all that they had done for 20 years for the Afghan Taliban. But gratitude is not an attribute of international relations. So that is what we are seeing today. And 2025 is going to be difficult for the Pakistani-Afghanistan relationship.
Right. Ambassador K.C. Singh, to get you in at this stage, how do you think the situation there could impact India?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Ambassador K.C. Singh.
I'm missing the sound.
Ambassador K.C. Singh, what I'm trying to ask you, the situation that we're seeing at the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, how does that impact India?
Look, I think you have seen that India has been reaching out to the Taliban. That is something which naturally should not have been expected, considering the bad relationship we've had in the past. But I think sensing the differences between let's say, the nationalism that Taliban is displaying and the degree of independence is trying to assert, obviously India then got space to enter there. Otherwise, the main Pakistan's grouses, I think they expected that the Taliban would work with them to finish off TTP. That was the least they would have expected from the Taliban. Now, Taliban either are unable to do it or unwilling to do it because their fight is also with the Islamic State. So there is much happening within Afghanistan that may not be visible because the primary enemy that they have today domestically is the Islamic State. Therefore, have TTP got links to the Islamic State? Are the fighters moving between them? So there is an internal dynamics because of which I think Afghans are not able to or not willing to move against the TTP. Now, unless that is done, Pakistan feels that this is a betrayal because TTP is fueling the terrorism in Pakistan, in the tribal areas and beyond. Now, I don't know whether you can't say it's directly linked, But to have Imran Khan, a Pathan, in jail and pushed there by the army is obviously not very helpful, because he has strength in the tribal areas, in Pakistan's tribal areas, and those are connected to the other side in Afghanistan. The Durand line has never been accepted by the Afghans. So there is and Pakistan has been building a fence. They've been trying to de-link the Afghan Pashtun from their own Pashtun. So it's a complicated situation, which I think Pakistani military will find very difficult to handle. But it's a case of not realizing that you cannot expect a group which has ruled Afghanistan in the past for centuries to become a Pakistani proxy. Up to a point, that is fine, but then their own nationalism comes up, and they also want independence of thinking and action.
Right. Vivek, Katju, to get you in at this stage, when it comes to the Afghan Taliban right now, what is their strength? If we compare both countries right now, the military strength of Pakistan, the strength of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and the Taliban regime itself, who has a stronger hand in this conflict?
Clearly,
Mr. Katju,
Pakistan
can you hear
has
me?
a military superiority, but as we know from the time of Ranjit Singh and then the British, it's not easy to fight the Pashtuns in those areas. And then the Russians, Soviet Union realized it, and the Americans have realized it. The terrain is such, and Afghan makes a natural fighter. He is able to lure you into his area, set up a trap and attack you, and then retreat into the heights or into the valleys, away from the valleys. So it's a question of one side having military superiority, and Pakistan can't be using military jets or firing into villages and so on and so forth, which will create a worse situation and may worsen the situation in their own tribal areas. I think they have to take into account that you can't deal with the Pashtuns in Afghanistan in a manner, say, Israel is dealing with Hamas, because they have a huge population of their own Pashtuns, which are in their tribal areas, and that would have an impact there. So, and they've seen that
Ambassador
problem in the
Singh,
past.
we've run out of time. I'd like to thank you for joining us, and we'd like to thank Ambassador Katju as well. We've been having technical issues on the program. We'd like to take a break at this point. Back with much more.